Hey everyone! Today we're going to tackle a math topic that sometimes seems a little tricky, graphing linear inequalities. But trust me, we're going to make it feel totally straightforward and, dare I say, intuitive. Let's just jump right in. So what's the big idea here, really? Well, I absolutely love this analogy. An equation, something like y equals 2x, is like a tightrope walk. Every single solution has to be exactly on that one specific line, no exceptions. But an inequality? That's a swimming pool. You don't have to be right on the edge. You just got to be on the correct side of the line, in the water, to be a solution. We're talking about a whole region of possibilities here. And you want to know the best part? If you already know how to graph a basic line, you are like 90% of the way there. I'm serious. We're just adding two small extra decisions on top of a skill you probably already have down.
So let's get right into it. These are the two choices you're going to make every single time, and they're what's going to turn a simple line into this whole shaded area of answers.
It really is that simple, a two-step process. First, you decide what kind of line you're going to draw. And second, you figure out where to do your shading. Let's break down exactly what that means. All right, decision number one, the line itself. Now, the key here is to connect this to something you might already know about number lines. If your inequality sign is strict, just a less than or greater than, you use a dashed line. Think of it like an open circle on a number line. It's a boundary that isn't actually part of the solution. Now, if the sign is inclusive, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you go with a solid line, just like a closed, filled-in circle. The line itself is included in the solution set. Decision number two is the fun part, shading. Now, there's a really easy rule for this, but, and this is important, it comes with one crucial condition. Y has to be isolated all by itself on the left side. If you've got that, it's super simple. If y is greater than, you shade above the line. If y is less than, you shade below the line. That's pretty much the core of it. Okay, theory is one thing, but seeing it happen is where it all really starts to click. So let's put our two decisions to the test with a few examples. Let's start with a nice, straightforward one. Y is greater than 2x minus 3. So, first thing, we just imagine the line y equals 2x minus 3. We know it's got a y-intercept of -3 and a slope of 2. Easy enough. Now for our two decisions. The symbol is greater than, which is strict, right? So we use a dashed line. And since the inequality says y is bigger, we shade above. And that's it. Every single point in that shaded area is a solution. Okay, ready for another one? This time, let's graph y is less than or equal to -1/2 x plus 2. We're going to follow the exact same logic. First, graph the line. It's got a y-intercept at 2 and a slope of -1/2. Now for the decisions. The symbol is less than or equal to, which is inclusive, so we need a solid line this time. And because it reads y is smaller, we shade below. And boom, there you go, the complete picture. All right, time to enter what we're calling the danger zone. Let's look at 2x minus 3y is less than 12. You should notice right away that y isn't by itself, and that, my friends, is our signal to be extra careful. See, to get y all alone on the left side, we're going to have to subtract 2x and then divide everything by -3. So the big question is, what's that one special rule you absolutely have to remember when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number? This is it. The big one, the one thing you cannot forget. You absolutely, positively must flip the sign. That less than symbol, it's got to become a greater than symbol. Seriously, forgetting this step is the most common mistake people make. So look what happens here. After we do the algebra, our inequality completely transforms into y is greater than 2/3 x minus 4. The original less than is now a greater than. So now we just apply our rules. The symbol is greater than, so it's a dashed line. And because it's now y is greater than, we shade above. Just think, if you hadn't flipped that sign, you would have shaded below and got the exact opposite answer. So, speaking of traps, let's talk about a totally foolproof method you can use as a safety net. This will guarantee your shading is always on the right side. It's called the test point method. And it's a super simple way to just double-check your work. The idea is to pick any easy coordinate that is clearly not on your line, and let's be honest, 0, 0 is usually the best choice, and you just plug it in to see if you get a true statement. Let's try it on that last danger zone problem. Remember, the original was 2x minus 3y less than 12. Okay, let's test the point 0, 0.
We plug in 0 for x and 0 for y. We get 0 minus 0 is less than 12, which simplifies to 0 is less than 12. So is that true? Yep, it is. So since our test point gave us a true statement, we shade the side of the line that has our point, 0, 0. It's a perfect check.
So this is a cool math trick and all, but does it ever actually show up outside of an algebra class? Oh yeah, all the time, especially when you're dealing with any kind of limits or constraints. Think about a simple real-world situation. A phrase like, you can spend at most $500 on supplies. That's not an equation, is it? You don't have to spend exactly $500. It's a boundary. It's an inequality. This idea translates directly into a linear inequality, and when you graph it, that entire shaded area represents something called the feasible region. It's basically a visual map of every single possible combination of supplies you could buy and still stay within your budget. This is a huge concept in fields like economics and business.
So we end right back where we started. Equations are precise tightropes. They demand an exact balance. But inequalities? They're these wide-open swimming pools, just full of possibilities. So the final question to think about is, where do you see those swimming pools, those feasible regions and boundaries in your own world?